rains, it pours, and I don't mean that in a good way. What is going on, y'all? 5 Sports Talk back at it with another video talking some NFL. Here talking Dallas Cowboys, Denver Broncos, recapping that game between those two respective teams, in which the Denver Broncos were very, might I say, disrespectful to the Dallas Cowboys, in which they absolutely smacked them in this game 42-17. And I know one at Real Skip Bayless is very upset, but he's going to have to get over it because the Denver Broncos absolutely embarrassed the Cowboys, and they deserve all the credit. But just like how we always do, people love hearing about the Dallas Cowboys. So let's just start with the Dallas Cowboys real quick, okay? The thing with the Dallas Cowboys here is there's a couple things with Denver anybody who basically watches football should know, and that is the fact that you don't throw on Denver, you run on Denver, okay? And that was evident in Week 1, in which the Chargers almost pulled off the upset, in which Melvin Gordon had a good game running the football, okay? And I know Phillip Rivers did have a good game throwing as well, but you run the football on the Broncos. They have shut down corners on the outside, and Aqib Talib and Chris Harris Jr. You don't want to mess with their secondary is what I'm trying to get at, okay? So what do the Dallas Cowboys do? They do the exact opposite. They make Dak Prescott throw 50 freaking times. Ezekiel Elliott rushes for 9 times for 8 yards. Are you kidding me? 8 yards rushing for Ezekiel Elliott. Just by reading those two stats, you should have already known that the Dallas Cowboys lost this game. And the game script and the game plan was completely off. I don't know what the Cowboys were thinking in terms of that. And yeah, I know early on they were trying to not get behind the 8 ball because Trevor Siemian ripped them to pieces. And I'm talking about that Dallas Cowboys defense, or I should say lack thereof, because they were basically non-existent in this one. And that's another point here, okay? So not only are you not scoring, but your defense is getting ripped to shreds and making Trevor Siemian look like Peyton Manning. And what do you have? You have 42-17. And so basically, I make this point in my video about the Packers and the Falcons game, and I see very similar things here between the Packers and the Cowboys, as much as I would not like to admit that because I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'm not a Packers fan either. I just like Aaron Rodgers a little bit. But with that being said, talking about the Cowboys, the thing is, Week 1 was a fluke, okay? And I'm saying the same thing about the Packers win over the Seahawks because I see two completely different things in terms of the matchups, but I see a similarity in terms of what each team was able to exploit. The Packers exploited the Seahawks a horrendous offensive line, okay? That O-line cannot block to save their life, okay? They are a revolving door on offense, and they cannot keep Russell Wilson upright. Then we take a look at the Giants that the Cowboys played in Week 1. They didn't have Odell Beckham Jr. That offense is lost without Odell Beckham Jr. And in a way, they made their defense look even better than they should be because their offense is so inept. And so that's the same situation with the Green Bay Packers. And their defense looked pretty good against Russell Wilson, right? Because they were able to get to him. But that's because that offensive line is horrible. And the Giants' offensive line is not that great either. But it's not as bad as the Seattle freaking Seahawks, okay? So what do you have here? You have two reality checks, basically. The Falcons reality checked the Packers and smacked them in the face and said, hey, you guys still don't have a good defense. And you know what? The Denver Broncos did the exact same thing to the Dallas Cowboys because I am still a believer in this offense. I'm still a believer in Dak. I'm still a believer in Zeke. But their defense is not good enough. They are not going to be able to go to where they want to go, which is to win a Super Bowl. With this defense, they lost entirely too many pieces in the offseason. I talked about that in the offseason. You guys can go check out my videos. And they just absolutely got shredded in the secondary. Like I said, Trevor Siemian, what are his numbers here? 231 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. That one pick was not even completely his fault. Demaryius Thomas did not run the right route or whatever. There was miscommunication on that play. Clearly, someone didn't get the play call right. And C.J. Anderson rushed for 25 rushes for 118 yards, and then he hurt them through the air as well. So not only is your secondary getting ripped apart, but your front seven and your front D-line is also getting gashed by C.J. Anderson, okay? The same C.J. Anderson who was considered a fantasy bust last year. He's having a renaissance of a season now. So, to me, this defense is absolutely horrendous, and week 1 was a fluke in terms of what you saw because of how inept the Giants' offense is. So now with the Dallas Cowboys, they need to come to grips with the fact that this defense is not good enough. Your offense is going to have to win more games. Look, a lot of people, especially Cowboy haters, I'm not a Cowboy hater, I'm just going to point it out, but a lot of people were pointing out the fact that, hey, listen, you made Dak throw the damn football and the Cowboys will lose the game. Well, guess what? Dak threw the football. The Cowboys lost the game. Zeke only rushed for 8 yards. Now, if these two teams played again, I'm not sure that Zeke will rush for only 8 yards again, but make no mistake about it, this Broncos defense is hellacious, okay? There are a reason why they are one of the top defenses in the NBA. I almost said the NBA, in the NFL. But with that being said, reality check for the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, they lost this game, but Cowboy fans, I think you guys needed it because it addresses what you guys need to address, which is your defense. And at this point right now, you might need to change up the game plan in terms of your offense being able to put up more points. And I know there were a couple drops. Dez didn't look that good. I know he had a touchdown catch, but there was a couple balls he could have gotten. Dad runner Jason Witten led the team in targets and catches. You don't want to have that happen. I know he's a Hall of Fame tight end, but Jason Witten being your leading receiver and your leading catcher in terms of receptions, not good. Okay, so for the Cowboys, this offense needs to mask their defensive inefficiencies. Basically, play like kind of how the Lions played last year. I know the Lions were horrendous, but they tried to play a slow tempo pace so that their defense would stay on the not on the field. And so the Cowboys need to do the same, or they just need to flat out improve this defense because it's not going to cut it. So that is what I think, folks, with the Dallas Cowboys. I still think they're a very good team, but I just don't think this defense is going to be very good. So for me, that brings the Cowboys down a notch. And to me, this was a reality check for the Cowboys. Let's see what happens moving forward. Will they need to change up the game plan and game script? All I know is Dak should not be throwing 50 times a game. I love Dak. Love you, bro. Shouldn't be throwing 50 times a game. Zeke needs more carries. Let me know what you guys think, especially you guys, Cowboy fans. Please comment down below. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, if you are not subscribed, please subscribe, and thanks for watching.